On today's Toy Spot, we'll be having a look at the Hasbro The Amazing Spider-Man comic series, Power Arms, Dr. Octopus. Dr. Octopus features attack tentacles. Spot's trying to place whether this Doc Ock was released initially as the Fiercest Foes Doc Ock, although he does look a little different in the head. Once again, a picture of Andrew Garfield up the top there in Spider-Man costume, which is an awesome looking costume. If it was socially acceptable, maybe Spot would actually buy himself a Spider-Man costume. I guess, thank goodness, it's not socially acceptable, but... On the back of the package, it says Power Arms, Attack Tentacles. Down below, some of the other figures that you can get from the comic series of Amazing Spider-Man, including a... It looks really good on the back of the package. It's just a shame that the... symbiote Spider-Man didn't look that good in person, but... I was really super impressed by the Mega Cannon Spider-Man. I've yet to pick up the Scuba Spider-Man. Very unlikely that I will as well, so... I'm hoping no one's gonna hold their breath waiting for Spot to review that, because it may not happen. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. What I am going to do, though, is I'm going to take a bit of a break. I'm going to get this opened up, and when we come back, we're going to get a better look at the Amazing Spider-Man comic series Power Arms, Dr. Octopus. It's quite the mouthful. There's also a rating to come. Stay tuned. And before we actually put the tentacles on Doc Ock, let's actually have a look at Dr. Octopus first. He's not wearing goggles anymore, unfortunately, but he's got some sort of these weird eyes going on there, which I guess is a staple for Dr. Octopus now. He's got himself a green costume, a little bit of white going on the top, with some silver in the hands, and the gloves there, and also in the boots. Paint actually is really clean on this figure. In fact, I'm trying to look on the figure itself. It doesn't even look like there is any quality issues. And in this line so far, I've been very pleasantly surprised with the level of quality that they put on this. Well, I mean, whether they've reused some of these figures, and again, Doc Ock doesn't look like he's been reused. He could be very well a brand new sculpt for this line. I've been really, really impressed with the work that they've done on this. Now, granted, yes, they don't have, in the legs, they have just a standard swivel, which unfortunately my Doc Ock's a little loose as well. But that aside, though, I really think they did a good job on this figure. Very bright, vibrant color. In the way of Doc Ock's articulation, I'm going to do this now because I don't know how much. We're going to work on the backpack afterwards. Doc Ock looks like he's got a ball joint. So much so, Spot just took his head off. But you can get lots of movement out of his head. I mean, it's probably one of the better figures from this line for head articulation. He also has a pin and socket shoulder. He has a pin and socket arm. You can rotate and bend in and out. Nothing in the gloves, but I mean, the fact that you can swivel at the forearms anyways, you probably don't need that. There's nothing in the waist. As I mentioned, the swivel in the legs, bend at the knee. You can rotate those legs around as well, and nothing in the boot. So there you have Doc Ock. Now, granted, his name's Dr. Octopus. He obviously needs something in the way of an octopus accessory. Luckily, they've got that covered. What we end up getting is this really neat backpack, and we zoom in once again, and we know that this is a brand new piece because they've got this, again, this gimmick. But there's a little, can you see it on this one? I don't know if maybe you can or not. There's a symbol on the inside there. When we press the button, it changes. Now, once again, for how much they seem to really draw attention, they really want you to notice it's there. That is not even advertised on the packaging. So I don't know either. The tentacles, what's nice about them is they have a wire frame. So you can actually take the individual tentacles and bend them any which way that you want. Now, it would look like, based on how the claws are, that you could actually bend them, but they're actually just a rubber. You can't, there's no articulation or anything like that in the arms, or in the actual claws. But at least the tentacle arms, you can do something with them. So you get them in a nice little position going on there. Then you can take the backpack that has the clips. I'm just going to clamp it into the back of Doc Ock. Surprisingly, there is no peg hole, which I was almost surprised. I was almost expecting to find, but it just basically, these clips basically just keep the backpack on Doc Ock. Once on Dr. Octopus, you just press that button we were discussing earlier, and when you press it, it doesn't do it well, but it basically brings those claws in. Maybe if I bring the claws further up and demonstrate. Yeah, it's not great. It's not great by any stretch of the imagination. So I would say at least if anything, you can adjust those arms to compensate for the fact that the gimmick is maybe a little weak. Speaking of a little weak, the fact that this backpack, as large as it is, does not peg into Doc Ock, you can see that it doesn't stay in very well. I mean, it'll stay on there, but you know, you just bang it and that backpack seems to want to come off. Still, it's a pretty good figure. And I don't even remember, I'm trying to think here, if we've ever received a Marvel Universe Dr. Octopus. If we haven't, I would say this is a good contender for that. He's a little bulkier. He looks like he's a little larger in scale as well. But all things considered, I think he's a good figure. For a kid to pick up, you know, obviously with Spider-Man being the hot property right now with it, you know, the movie coming out soon, kids are going to be wanting to get action figures. I would say this is a good little figure to get. Also, by the way, as a scale comparison, here's the Green Goblin. So I guess in a scale comparison, even though Doc Ock's a little chunkier, proportionately they're a good scale to one another. Doc Ock, this gimmick's a little silly, but still a pretty good figure. And Doc Ock, I'm going to give him a 6. Today's Toy Spot, we're having a look at the Amazing Spider-Man comic series. We're looking at Power Arms Dr. Octopus. Thanks for watching, guys. See you guys next time.